Hello, everyone. It's Megan Friedel again from the Wisconsin Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And in this video, in video 2 of the BrailleNote Touch Plus, we are going to be going over the physical components of the device, also known as the hardware. So you can consider this a basic orientation to your unit. Remember to pause as needed as you orient yourself to your device. Let's get started.
I want to first point out that it is super important to keep your device in its case to keep it protected. Also, you want to keep your case's cover on when it's not in use. This will help keep it clean and protected as well. And what's really cool is that the cover just comes up and it stays attached with magnets. So it just snaps right on, super, super easy. All right, so let's get started with the top panel of the device. Alrighty, so the Touch Plus has a keyboard layout just like a Perkins Braille. So this will probably be very familiar to many of you. You have your 6-key entry with your space bar, and then you have backspace, and then you have enter. However, the difference between the BrailleNote Touch, well, one of many differences between the BrailleNote Touch Plus and a Perkins Braille is that your Braille output does not come out on paper, it comes out on a refreshable Braille display. So let's go into a little bit more detail. So you will find, starting on the left side of your device, your backspace button. This is for reference to the left of dot 3, and you can use backspace to delete over a letter. On the right side of your device, you will find enter. This is to the right of dot 6. And enter can do things for you like enter an edit field, activate a button that has focus, or insert a new line when you're editing a document. It's also important to note that both backspace and enter can be used together with other keys to execute key commands. Key commands are basically almost like keyboard shortcuts that allow you to do things on your Braille note taker a little bit more quickly. Then finally, let's take a moment and find the refreshable Braille display. The refreshable Braille display is located at the bottom of the top panel. It has a 32-cell display, and above the Braille cells, you will find these little dots. These are your cursor router keys, and these cursor router keys can be used to, like when you're editing a document, you can push them to move your cursor to the desired cell that you want to maybe make a change or edit to, or you can also use it to select an item that's in focus, like either on a list or a dialog box. Next, we are going to move on to the front panel. So your front panel, now I am holding my BrailleNote Touch Plus up so it's not facing me, but normally if you have this flat on the table, which you should, your front panel is going to be facing your stomach. So on this panel, you are going to find 7 small buttons in various shapes. We are going to start on the left side of the device. You are going to find a small rectangle. This small rectangle is your previous button. This allows you to move to the previous item. Next, you will find a longer rectangle button. This allows you to pan your Braille display to the left. And then you're going to find some buttons in the middle. We're going to skip over those for now. You're going to find after those buttons in the middle, you're going to find another long rectangle on the right. That is your right button, and that is going to allow you to pan your Braille display to the right. Then finally, at the end of this front panel, you will find the next button, and it is located on your far right, and this allows you to move your focus to the next item. So, moving back to the center of the panel. First, you're going to find a small triangle pointing to the left. This is your back button. This moves back to your previous screen or menu. Next, you will find a small button with a circle. This is your home button, and this allows you to, when you press this button, it will take you back to the main menu. And then finally, you will find a square-shaped button to the right of your home button, and that allows you to switch between open applications that you have going. If when you tap it, it will allow you to do that. If you hold it for 2 seconds, it will allow you to get to the context menu in the current application that you have in focus. All right, let's move on to the left panel. So again, I am holding my BrailleNote Touch upward so the camera gets a nice view of it. Again, this should be on your left side. So this has 3 parts here. First, we've got our USB-C port, and that is going to be furthest away from you on your left side. And this is using for transferring files to your device, or what probably you will do with it more frequently is charge. Next, you're going to find this little oval button, and it almost has like a little dip to it. This is your power and unlock button. This button is in the middle of the panel, and when you press it briefly, it will lock and unlock your device, or when you hold it down, it will power your unit on and off. Then finally, underneath that, you're going to find these 2 skinny rectangles that are almost connected together. There's a tiny dip in between. Those are your volume buttons. And these rectangular buttons are going to allow you to adjust your volume up or down, depending on how loud or how quiet you want your volume to be. Next, we'll touch on the right panel. So closest to the user, you are going to have what's called your action button. This is a small rectangle button. This button has like a teeny tiny dot in the center of it. This does things such as taking a photo. You can press this button to play or pause an item. You can also press it to start and stop recording. So obviously various tasks that are actions. Next, you will find a small hole. That is your headphone jack. If you have headphones that have a wire in them, this is where you will plug in those headphones. It's important to note that if you have an iPhone and like a newer iPhone, and if you are using the headphones that came with that iPhone, they will not work within this jack and you will likely need an adapter. Finally, the last little hole is a microphone jack, and that's going to be the furthest away from you, and that is to plug in a microphone. Next, we will take a look at the rear panel. There are 3 important parts to your rear panel. Now, all of the important pieces here are going to be on the left side of the device. I'm setting my device flat, and when I reach my hand up and around the back on the left side, I can start to feel these spaces. So the first space that's going to be closest to your left side, that is going to be your USB port. You can plug in your USB, you can store data like on a thumb drive and access it through this, or you can even transfer data to your touch. In the middle, you will find a little SD card slot, and again, this is used for file storage and transfer. Then finally, the furthest from your left side is your HDMI port. You can use this port to connect with an external monitor. Finally, I wanted to touch on the back of the device because, as you heard me mention earlier, the BrailleNote Touch Plus has a camera, and the lens for the camera, for where you take a picture through, is located on the back. If you take your hand and move it across the back of the device, you will find 3 circles, and the circle that is in the middle, and these circles are indented, and so it almost feels like a funnel. If you've ever used a funnel before, that's what it reminds me of. That circle in the center is going to be your camera. So if you want to take a picture of something, you'll want to make sure that that circle is pointed towards the object. Thanks for watching.